So, good afternoon or good evening. This is now the continuation of the conversion of the V200-035 from Fleischmann over to from DC to DCC, basically, with a Lokpilot 4, which I have here planned out. Oops. You can see it here, Lokpilot 4 with the latest revision. And as you remember, we drilled up this motor plate here. Let me zoom back in. And that came out all right. And now what I did is, as I suggested, was to epoxy this whole thing in place. And let me see if we can get a better view of this here. My epoxy. That is interesting. Yeah. We did a pretty good job here because we don't want this to move. You can see this here, it doesn't look that good, but it works pretty well. The test in this is basically to have a piece of the little brush, which we have here. Let me see if I can grab it correctly. Insert it, and it should fall right out on the other side, which it does. So this is ready to go. When I put the camera in a minute on the tripod, then I can show you the continuity test on it. At the same time, I was also able to save the plate the same way with the JB weld. Let's see if we can get a better view on this here. Yeah, this came out nice too. And what I did is I used the ring terminal, this here, basically with the capacitor removed, and I soldered the guide tube, which is this here. This is the one which came out very badly, as you can see. It broke. That was the one which went really bad on me. That basically took that plate out. And I soldered this on first, and then I mixed up some JB weld, and I carefully applied it with a brush all around it. So now the plastic piece is locked in place, and so is the little guide tube. This can no longer move. And now this should give us some endurance on this for, for longevity. So that's basically the part we did here. This plate here belongs to the 103, which I thought I had manhandled, but it is gonna work. We can convert that over here too. The next thing is I cleaned up our thing, and I used what do you call, I can't even see it from here, I got it sitting right over there, the dishwashing detergent. You do not want to use anything aggressive on these. And then I epoxied these two pieces here to the main body, because they're hanging in there only by these little wire pieces here. I don't know how well we can see those. And so I got this all situated, and the weight is now fixed. But we can use the old plate from the semiconductor, which goes in here and sits on this screw in here, basically on that one, from the old rectifier for the change in direction. And we can mount our Lokpilot 4 on here. And this will get me now, so this is all cleaned up. And I got the windows all nicely cleaned up too. They're really white now, you can see this. They're gonna look nice. They almost came out brand new. Dawn dish soap, that's what I used, the Dawn dish soap. I cleaned also with Dawn dish soap the wheel, that one wheel here, which goes into this position here, is gonna look nice. goes back in here. So that came out clean, and I cleaned up this here, but this one has already a grayish color to begin with, but it is all cleaned up. A lot of people over lubricate their engines, and that causes a lot of problems. So now it goes on to the next job, and that is to clean up the axles, to take this out and to clean up the contacts, and then to see if we have to correct wheels on here. I have new tires on there, traction tires already, and as you can see, is on the even on the old Fleischmann system, the way this works is on these sides where the motor is mounted, the insulated wheels are always on the opposite of where the gears are. So the gear side is the one which makes contact or allows for contact to the body. And then you usually have one pickup here, which is on the side here, which goes to the insulated side on the other axle system. And then you have the black wire here that goes to the motor. The black wire goes to the motor, and this here goes, that is the old coil that goes to the motor. So you have two motor wires. This blue wire bridges the insulated side over here to right here. That was soldered on there, that just broke off here while I was working on it. So I'm going to desolder this. I'm going to take all the wheels off, I'm going to clean this. We're going to desolder the two lights. They're going to go back in here, and they're going to get wired up into the Lokpilot. Now with the Lokpilot 4, the way this works is you have front light and rear light, and the Lokpilot goes then through the chassis. And this is this wire here, which you have to connect, that goes onto the screw in here. Let me see if we can get a nice shot of it right here. And that screw here in the center, right there. And then the circuit board goes on top of it, or you can do it vice versa. This way the whole system is grounded. Now, I looked at the old catalogs yesterday, and this locomotive, the V200, was introduced in the model catalog 1958-59, which means it came out in the fall of 1958. And the 1958 locomotive, or engine, or prototype, doesn't have the 1381, which is the catalog number embossed on it. So on the original one, the very, very first one they made, there's no 1381. And then in 1963, model year 63-64, the roof went from this grayish color to a black color. So we know that both of these V200s are from between 1959 to 1963. So we're looking at 60-plus-year-old locomotives we're converting over to DC++ or DCC in this case. The successor model is the V200, this one here, with the number 131-6. And this one came out in the model year 1968. And this is the one I have already converted. This is the 221-010. We can see this here, yeah, 010, and that came then out in the 70s. They added this, and that has the gray roof. It's the same locomotive or same prototype, just a different paint scheme. And this is the one I cannot get to full speed, and I thought this one is virtually brand new. This one has no blemishes whatsoever on it. The iPhone here never zooms well enough for what I wanted to do. We can see this. It is in an absolutely immaculate condition. This is probably as good as you can get one of these engines. So when I convert this one here, the prototypes, when I convert this one here, I will double check this to see if the motor is exactly the same as the motor here. What I did not do on this unit before I converted it was to check on how fast it actually runs on the regular Fleischmann transformer under DC. so I have no clue if it is an issue with the Lokpilot 4 with that revision I got, because the Lokpilot 4 with the earlier revision works fine on the blue E10 I have here. That is the one you have seen in the videos. That is the one we converted, and that one is actually running fine. And it is only now with this one here that I ran into an issue. But first things first, the first thing I'm going to do now, before we're going to continue the video, is I'm going to install all of the internal parts here, the windows primarily. Then we're going to clean up the rest of the carriage system and reinstall the lights and prepare everything. And then we're going to do a test run on the motor just off the DC transformer to see on how everything is working. And at that point, I will check back in. That will be the continuation of this video in a few minutes. Okay, so now we got the motor here assembled. We put a little bit of oil on it. We got our original tooth gear on here, and we desoldered the stuff. We're gonna do a check. You can see I got my Velo solder iron here, the same one I recommended. And we're gonna desoldered, or we have desoldered this, and I took already one tire off, or one wheel assembly, and you can see this, they are in need of thorough cleaning. There's no question about it. And here we can see the makeup of the insulated wheel, which goes on the other side. And when you pull them off, you want to make sure that you don't bend the axle. Sometimes they come off a little bit hard. Let me put you on here, and let's see how we can get our motor to work properly. Let's see if we can zoom in. So we can nicely see this. I got the transformer set to 50, the low speed. This works pretty good. I think this motor is a winner. Now we're going to check our light bulbs, since we got them already out. And one goes on the chassis and the other one goes on the wire here. We should be able to see this. There we go. This one is working okay. On this one here, I had some issues. That's why I took the light bulb out. And we can see the bulb is working. And we just give it a light scrub here, just to get it a little bit cleaned off. We push it back in here, all the way in. We put our contact back on here. And we tighten the screw a little bit. Let's see if we get this to work now or not. Yep. Now we got two working lights. They're gonna go into the engine first. I got the windows in. Nope, I have not gotten all the windows in, so this will be the next step. The motor is ready for assembly, cleaning here, getting this all sorted out, and then we got everything ready for the assembly on the encoder or decoder. That will be the continuation of this video. Okay, and here we're back now with everything cleaned up, and I wanted to show you this real quick. We got the old couplers out. Those were the rusted ones, and we gave them new couplers. And we made a discovery. The other V200 I have, look which motor we got in here. So this one is slightly newer than the one we're working on. That was the discovery in it. I use a pad and I spray some alcohol on it, isopropyl. And that is the only thing I use to clean off wheels or anything electrical for that matter. You can see this hopefully here. This takes everything off without doing any harm or any abrasive things on the axles too. You just don't want to get it on this is how clean we can get them. Now this with the motor difference, let me just see if I can get the chair better over here so I can sit better. I have to sit here in an angle. The same is with the contacts. These ones here. If you go over like this here, you will see they're going to come out as clean as new without sending them down or doing any damage. And that's really all it takes to restore them. And this is isopropyl, industrial isopropyl alcohol, 99.9% what I'm using for this. You can see the dirt comes off. This is this here. And we have a spiky clean, shiny contact. Bend them in a little bit to get our attention back on there, about here. And that's it, and they're like brand new. I did the single one already. You can see this. Yeah, now this means with the having the 58 motor in the other unit and this motor here, the old one, that means that this must have been one of the first 59 units they built still with the old motor, but with just 1381 embossed. That would get us right into probably the early parts of 1959. That means that this locomotive is probably 65 years old, and the other one is 60, 64 years old, somewhere around there. So that is coming along quite nicely. I cleaned up my blocks, so we can now reassemble all of this stuff here. I've also cleaned off the wheels, which were black. Now you can actually see them. They're absolutely clean. And I will check back in here when I got the two wheelbases back assembled, so we can actually install the encoder, and I'm probably probably going to do that tomorrow. So this is the conclusion for today. We got the carriages back assembled. I don't know if you call them carriages, but we got it all on here and we're running pretty good. Let me show you this on the transformer. Let me go over. It's kind of difficult to hold this and run the transformer without having the wires soldered on here. Let me see if I can get my So I would say we did a pretty good job with our conversion. And we can see now this used to be the grounded terminal here. This one here, you can put it anywhere on the metal. There's no more ground. So tomorrow we're going to hook up the decoder, the Lokpilot 4, and we're going to do our programming, and then we let it run and see how it goes.